This program was brought to you by Organo Gold. Organo Gold is a health and wellness company that provides healthy coffees, teas, and chocolate. All one has to do is consume the available coffee, teas, chocolate, and other products to get all the available benefits. One can also share these products with others to help them improve their health as well.
And now, Fairfax Breakfast Club with your host, Bazil Lemba.
Welcome to the Fairfax Breakfast Club show. My name is Bazil Lemba and I will be your host. The Fairfax Breakfast Club is a weekly program in which we bring to you valuable and workable know-how you can use to improve your networking skills and grow your business. Today, we are going to talk about taxes. Let's start with a rather famous quote from Benjamin Franklin. In this world, nothing can be said to be certain except death and taxes. Today's guest is a CPA, somebody who has been campaigning into lowering taxes. His name is Gerald R.Geddes. Hello, Gerald.
Hello, Bazil.
How are you?
Thank you for having me on.
My pleasure.
I'm doing great.
Okay, good. So tell me first thing, how do you get into tax? How do you get to become a CPA?
Well, for me, when I graduated high school, I wanted to be a football player.
Oh, really?
And I was a little bit small for my age, or young for my grade, and I had more to grow. So I went to a community college and played club football. Mm-hmm. And the guidance counselor there, I asked what would be a good profession to get work in, and she said accounting. So
oh, really? Interesting.
I didn't know much about it until then, but a good guidance counselor told me that would be an easy profession to get work in. Mm-hmm. So they told me that I should become a CPA. Mm-hmm. Didn't know what that was, but now I am one.
Since how long have you been a CPA? Since how long have you been a CPA?
Since November 1981, I passed the exam. Okay. I passed the first part while I was at Georgetown University. Mm-hmm. I studied for two parts, law and auditing, and then I took theory and practice in November and passed it. And I've been in the profession since 1981. Okay.
That's close to what?
Too many years to count. We don't need to. They can do the math. And if not, they can pay me to do the math.
Now talking.
Yes.
Very good, very good. So tell us a little bit about your career, how your careers went, and all of those years.
Well, I started out with an accounting firm in D.C. Mm-hmm. I have a client now that when I was at Georgetown, I used to help. He had some rental properties, and I would help to. When one tenant would leave and another one would come in, I would get the place ready for the next tenant, paint it, clean it, any maintenance that's needed. And then he became my first tax client. Been doing his, I did his 1981 tax return, and he's still a client today.
Wow.
So, and that, I always liked the having, and from there I had other clients that I would do on the side while I was working at my firm. And I was able to bring in clients to my firm, and I said, I can do this myself. I can bring in clients for myself. Mm-hmm. But I really liked the one-on-one connection with the small business owners and individuals for doing their tax return.
Mm-hmm. So that's your main, of course, I'm assuming so, your biggest clientele are small business owners and individual taxes?
Well, it certainly was until about 6 years ago. That was my focus, small business owners. Mm-hmm. I had a marketing switch. I became the endorsed local provider for the Dave Ramsey Show. Mm-hmm. And so I got a lot of referrals from that program. But that was mostly individual. So about 6 years ago, it switched from being mostly business to now it's mostly individual. Mm-hmm. In 2012, I did about 400 individual returns and about 50 business returns. Yeah. Although right now I'm trying to go back to getting more business returns. Okay. And I'm in the, I'm kind of starting over. I took time out last year to run for political office. I attempted to win the or run for the Republican nomination in the 11th District of Virginia, a seat currently held by Jerry Connolly. So I'm kind of growing my practice right now.
Okay. What is the difference between technically between the business and the individual taxes for you? Is that it is majorly different? What?
Well, the businesses have a lot more needs. There's a lot of red tape that businesses have to comply with. There's a lot more compliance issues that they have. And there's also more opportunities in the tax code for them to take advantage of some of the things. There's retirement plans they can set up. I was meeting with someone today who he had plans of retiring and starting a new business, and then where he had worked, he worked for Fairfax County, and they liked him so much they couldn't stand him being retired. So they hired him back. He's still getting his pension, but he's got this business part-time. And we originally had talked 2 years ago and set up a SEP IRA, which would have made sense, but now he's not going to be spending as much time on this, so now he's using a simple IRA. So there's just a lot more choices that small business, there's a lot more risks, there's a lot of compliance that they have to do, but there are more opportunities to take advantage of some of the tax code to improve their financial condition.
Gotcha. They always say to start a business you need a lawyer and a CPA, or those two. Why is that? Because of the compliances and everything, you think?
Yes, there are a lot of things that if you don't know the rules of the road, you can get run off the road. So it's important to have a good legal system to know what form of entity. CPAs can do that as well, but certainly if you're going to be a partner with someone else, you want to have a lawyer help you with an agreement. You know, you want to take the case of if the business does really well, how you'll share the profits, but if it doesn't succeed, how you'll get out of it, and everything in between. So it's important that you get professional advice, people that have done this for many clients, to get the advice that you need so that you don't. Many clients or many small businesses, let's say they'll start hiring employees and they won't know the payroll tax deposit rules, and they'll get in trouble. There's a lot of businesses that go out of business because of not paying taxes timely, and the penalties are very severe. There can be 5% a month, maximum 25%, and then interest, and then there's late payment penalties on top of that. So it pays to know the rules of the road.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, the other question I want to ask you, most people, when they think of taxes, they think of April 15 or the quarterly taxes. But one might say, depend on the side of business. I'm inclined to think that you want to get to the tax person way before to have some kind of strategy, don't you think? To be able to maximize on those different opportunities you're talking about, not to say nothing about avoiding the traps and everything else that are sitting in there.
Yes.
But what is your take on that?
Well, it's definitely good to look before the end of the year to what your choices are. Businesses may decide to buy equipment that will help their business, and the timing of when they do that is something to consider. There are certain retirement plans that have to be set up before the end of the year. If you're going to do a 401k, a lot of qualified plans have to be set up before the end of the year. They can't be done after the fact. So there are just a lot more planning opportunities if you address it throughout the year than waiting until after the year comes, and your choices are few and far between after the year ends, and you've got to file by April 15th for the individuals.
Okay. Very good. Why don't you give us an example of how you use taxes to help businesses do well or grow? Give us an example of that, because that's what this show is. Because people hear about taxes, but it makes people think of the deadline. Tell us, for you, any experience that you have where you use taxes, or you as a CPA was able to help a business grow, how businesses can use a CPA to grow their business.
Right. Well, for small business owners that are starting out, they have a decision to make as to what form of business. And most of my small business owners will choose S corporation status. And the advantage of that, an S corporation can have a portion of the profits flow through as a K-1, as a distribution. It's still subject to federal and state income taxes, but not subject to self-employment tax or payroll taxes. So that's just the entity selection and then deciding how much to put in for wages and how much to come through as a dividend. So you can plan that. You can't be too aggressive and have too little be classified as wages, because there have been instances where the IRS will look at a situation like that and then they'll make all the profits wages, and then you'll pay penalties and interest on what you had planned on putting in as a dividend. The IRS can come back and say that it's all wages. So you have to be careful to, there's not really a bright line test, but you know, a CPA that's got experience can give you certain rules of thumb that you can use to avoid that. Putting the right retirement plan in for a business, a firm that has, a company that has a lot of employees, if they do a traditional 401k plan, they may have to make a lot of contributions for the employees. So they may decide to choose a simple plan because they can put some money away for themselves, some money away for the employees, and it's less administration time. The businesses have to weigh. There are some things that have nice attributes, but sometimes the administration it becomes too burdensome to use those things.
Okay.
And there are certain things that you just don't want to miss out on any deductions that you're entitled to. Like with the automobile, you can choose to use your actual expenses or the per mile. And a lot of people don't know that in the first year, if you take actual expenses with that vehicle, you have to use actual expenses every year thereafter. If you use the per mile in the first year, you can, in subsequent years, switch back and forth. You can look at the two methods. So that's something that in the first year of a vehicle, even if the actual expenses were slightly higher, to give yourself the opportunity to switch back and forth, you might want to take the per mile.
Okay.
So you got to look at the long term for what your needs are. And then it's good if you can make some personal expenses deductible. I have continuing education that I can take, and I can take that locally, but I can choose to take that in an area of the country that I haven't visited before, so I can make a little vacation out of it. And you know, you're allowed to do that. So the travel, the airfare and hotel for that, and in your evenings and a day before or day after, you can see a town that you haven't seen before. So those are some things that I recommend for my clients to do. And there are ways to increase the wealth in the family. You can have a business. Sometimes it's good to set up as a sole proprietorship if you've got children that can work in the business. A self-employed person with a sole proprietorship can pay their children, give them a W-2. They don't have to pay any payroll taxes for that, for the W-2, so the owner gets a deduction, and then the children have a wage that they can put money into a Roth IRA. I did that with my two children. They worked in my business, and I paid them. I didn't pay them per se.
The money.
I had them put the money into the Roth IRA, which is, you know, a great thing. The compounding of interest, you know, if they can keep from touching that money, they won't have to worry about retiring at age 65. There'll be a pot of money that their retirement years will be taken care of. So.
Wow. Very good. Now I have a question. Taxes are changing all the time. I have a problem with that. I mean, what I know, tax is supposed to be a policy. But that changing all the time, is there a reason for that? I mean, it's like, it seems to me that it's changed for the sake of changing, because like if, the way I look at it, we can say this store, like let's take Home Depot. The policy is we open from 9 to 5, but that policy cannot be changing all the time.
Well, it used to be, when I first started my career, that there would be one or two fairly big tax bills each year. And then there were big rewrites. 1986 was the last big rewrite of the code. But then something was put in that in order to raise taxes in a big tax bill, there has to be a supermajority, which is hard to get in Congress. Right now they have trouble getting 51% to vote on things. So what they've done is they'll put little features of the tax code in every bill. So it's harder to learn. It's harder for the CPAs, enrolled agents.
Yeah.
It's harder for the people that write about the tax code, because every little bill has got something, piggybacked onto it. And part of it is just the rules of the House, that they can't have a tax increase without a supermajority. So they get around it by
getting everybody's approval. We put this over here for you, and then they approve it, put it over for you, and then they approve it. And that's how
so they come up with rules. And the way our tax system is, people will have something that they want in the code, and so they'll get someone to lobby on their behalf to get that. So it's a hodgepodge of what different businesses are looking for, and that they lobby and have success in getting it. So it's a constantly changing environment.
I understand. Whatever the case may be, it is a problem, because, as I said, like, how do you keep track? And next, everybody got to study, and then you do your return, and then next year got to change because it's different. Taxes fall under what's called a policy. The definition of a policy is something that's not changing that much regularly, if ever at all. I mean, I would understand if there's a problem, but then, because now it becomes some kind of game. To get approved, you put my thing there. To get approved, put my thing there. To get approved, put my thing there. It turned into a major mess.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the problem of living in a democracy. We have the ability to go to our elected officials. We have the ability to get lobbyists to ask for things, and they want to do things for their constituents, and you get a mess. But I don't know that there's any magic bullet that I can do.
No, I'm not saying that magic bullet. I'm just saying for example, I know in the law, somebody will tell me that even in a law of firm today, the partners want these young people so they can tell them what is the newest and latest. And because I just don't see that that's the correct way. But if there was a reason for it, now, I understand whatever the game they're playing. If there was a reason for it, then I understand. But when I guess what's bothering to me become a game of until my thing is there, I'm not voting until my thing is there. It created a definite situation. I'll tell you this I was told once. The Gettysburg speech that Abraham Lincoln gave, very famous. Somebody told me was, I don't know, something like 165 words, whatever it may be.
Yeah, it could fit on the back of a cocktail napkin,
yes.
Right? Very, very small.
Absolutely. The price of the cabbage is 156 pages, the price of the cabbage. And then that's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, that...
I'm not opposed to democracy again, I don't want somebody to say they're opposed to it, but I'm saying it's wrong. And I've worked with organizations which has policies people follow, and they do extremely well.
Well, every once in a while we do get simplification of the code, but the last big time that happened, I guess 2001 was a big change, big tax cuts. But right now there's a lot of hodgepodge that gets added to it. But it's, I can't cry too loudly because it's good for business for me. Right?
Please don't. Now, let me ask you this. What would you advise then a business person to grow their business as a tax person?
Well, you've got to find out what you're good at. And, kind of to be successful in business, it's not the same as being successful in school. In school, you have to, if you're going to be the best student, you have to get an A in everything. You have to have a 4.0, and with AP courses, you have to have 4.4 or whatever to get into these good Virginia schools. But in business, you have to find what it is that you do best, the thing that can make money, your best purpose. And then you've got to find other people that can pick up your weaknesses. If you're spending all your time, if you're bad at the paperwork, you have to get a bookkeeper in, or maybe your spouse can help with that. But you have to do what you're really good at. And you got to get help at the other things that are necessary evils that have to be done in the business. Like Tiger Woods is a great golfer, but he's really great at driving and putting. And when he practices, he spends most of his time on driving and putting, probably because he enjoys it, but that's what makes him the best. And so he spends most of his time doing that. And we I think a lot of people, they want to become perfect at everything, and they spend too much time on things that are difficult for them, and they need to step back, do what they're good at, and let other people help them with what needs to be done, which is not their forte.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so they should hire an accountant like me. That goes without saying, right? but I thought I'd say it anyway.
Very good, very good. All right. So now tell me, you got the opportunity to attend our breakfast event last month. Tell the audience over here your take on the Breakfast Club.
It's kind of, the one thing I like about your Breakfast Club is it meets once a month. There are other ones that meet once a week, and I find that takes too much out of the business to go once a week. So I think once a month is a better timing for that. And then you have a thing in your meetings it's like speed dating, but it's speed networking, where everybody gets about, I don't know if it's a minute to tell, and then one person will stay stationary, and the next person moves to them, and that's a good way to, a minute is enough time to make if there's going to be a connection, it's enough time to make that connection. So that's a great thing that I have. The introduction period that you have for everyone is good, because then doing the introductions at the beginning helps that speed networking at the end, because you know a little bit about them already from that. And then you have a good person that will give a big presentation, like 10 or 15 minutes, and then you get to know in depth of a particular business. So,
By the way, I'd love for you to do that presentation one of these days. I know after April 15, naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing about the tax season, you have to learn to say no to things. I didn't want to say no to this because, I want to be famous on TV. But,
congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So it's my big chance. I hope the modeling career will take off now.
Okay, good. That's good. Yeah, I'm glad because it's a great. We try to really design it so the attendees can get the most out of it. I was at an event yesterday. I was invited to a networking event, and then you go. The place was packed. I was sitting. I could see people on the other side that I wanted to talk to, but I left out. I couldn't get a chance to talk to them.
Yeah. So that. Speed networking, speed dating concept is it's kind of unique. It's the first time I'd seen it is at one of your meetings. So I think that's the key to your success. Though it makes your networking meetings better than some of the other ones that I've been to.
You're definitely right, because it's by survey, and getting that from people is the most important part, the most popular part of the breakfast event, that section of it. And you're right, the fact that they get to introduce themselves also make it easier. So by the time they say they know what it is, it has to give you a chance to assess the situation and they see what is in there.
Yeah, and I like it. You do this thing at the beginning where you say hi to someone.
Yeah.
Can you say your name? Say hi to someone, and then someone else, and then someone else, and then someone else. And after you get 4 or 5, then you got to go to the other side of the room to get to that. You can't sit in your seat, and once you get to that 5th one, you got to move. So that is kind of a fun. That's a good way to break the ice.
Yes, absolutely.
People.
That's
so
why we do it.
Yeah,
because you go to some of those networking, sometimes you may not get a chance to break the ice, and people are still you got to get them to okay, leave everything else behind. You hear.
Don't hit the microphone. They told me not to hit the microphone.
I try not to. So you hear, and then you're happy. Folks, you're hearing us talking about the breakfast. I got to let you know. By the way, we have a new location right now. We now meet at the Best Western of Fairfax, which is at 3535 Chenbridge Road here in Fairfax. And we have them once a month. You can find the details on that on our website, which is blnbc.com. I also want to let you know we have an expo coming. That will be on May 22nd. We still have room, as a matter of fact, for exhibitor and sponsor. And we'll be at the Stacy Sherwood Community Center. That will be May 22nd from 8 a.m. to 2 o'clock. So don't miss that. Join us. That will be a great opportunity for you to promote and grow your business. A last word for our audience.
Stay out of jail, pay your taxes, and Gerald Geddes & Company is looking for your business.
Very good. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And we're definitely looking forward to working with you, assisting you with this program or even the Breakfast Club to drive more business to your company.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. So, folks, there you have it, the program today. Again, I want to remind you, monthly breakfast event in Fairfax at Best Western, 3535 Chenbridge Road. See all details and the future dates on our website, which is blnbc.com. And the expo at ultbizexpo.com, and that will be on May 22nd, 2015. I thank you very much for tuning, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, have a good night, and looking forward to tuning on our show on Cox Communication. Thank you.
This program was brought to you by Organo Gold. Organo Gold is a health and wellness company that provides healthy coffees, teas, and chocolate. All one has to do is consume the available coffee, teas, chocolate, and other products to get all the available benefits. One can also share these products with others to help them improve their health as well.